Coffee, cold notes scattered wide, connecting things that don't collide. Every corner holds a sign. In my head the dots align, but they just laugh. Oh, when I speak they turn away. Oh, guess I'll play another day. I'm the
Hi, how's everyone doing? Hey, Paradox. Hey, Unindicted. Hey, Delulu Bishes. Thank you for waiting for me. I was watching Cryptex and HCC live stream, and then I was like, oh shit, I got like 15 minutes. So I just wanted to wrap up some of my notes. So always me, waiting to the very end or like cutting it so close. Let's see who else we got. Hey, let's see. Oh, I thought I saw somebody else in here, but I have enough. So happy Saturday. I can't believe it's already Saturday night. It's like, where did today go? Okay, I'm going to, let me pull my notes up here. So I'm going to talk about Holeman's testimony, or actually his testimony at trial, and his deposition. There was several, I think there was 2 depositions performed, if I'm not mistaken. And then there was multiple testimony, pre-trial, during trial. So what I did is I went through all of them and did a comparison to see really, what was said prior to trial, what was said, during trial, just so I have, I think it really allowed me to kind of see what the defense and the prosecution did not ask, but mainly the defense, because his deposition was pretty lengthy. How many pages is this? 416 pages. And if y'all haven't checked out Criminality and Sleuthy Goosey, did go over the deposition. I want to say they broke it out in 3, maybe 4 different live streams. So it was a lot to go through, and there was a lot of information in there. So I kind of highlighted some of the things that I found pretty compelling, and I'm going to go through it, but just to give you a high level overview, one would be just knowing that Holeman talked to the prosecution. So he met with the prosecutor, but he also met with Sheriff Tony Liggett and Dave Vito right prior to doing his deposition. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more. Second thing would be the witness and lineups. So that's one of my buckets I have here. Another thing would be failure to record statements from Richard Allen. So this would be the statement while he was, Richard Allen was in his vehicle that was not recorded. Next thing is connections between other persons of interest. So there is a lot of conversation going on in the deposition about all, everyone that they investigated. And then we got some bias revealing statements that he made in his deposition, DNA, ballistic evidence, chain of custody, So I'm going to walk through all of that. Let's check in with the chat real quick before I start. Hi, Shibby. Hi, Zeke. Let's see what Zeke said. He said, will the Reese Davis letters add any weight in the appeal? That's a good question. I'm thinking it was in the motion to correct error. And I believe that's my perception. That's the angle, or that's part of the appeal, but I'm not sure. Hey, Louise. Nice to see you. Hey, Hebe. I don't know if I said hi to you yet, but hi, sweet dude, Shibby. Oh, the chat's popping off now. Hey, Cryptex. Good live stream. Everyone, please check out Cryptex's live stream. He just had one with HCC. Like I mentioned, it was great. Really enjoyed it. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Just 1 second. And if there's some time after this live stream, I do want to talk about public access. I want to just talk about it again. I know I did a presentation. I mentioned that yesterday about Indiana's public access laws. There's been some statements recently where, basically insinuating we don't have the right to know everything. And while that may be true, I mean, we do have a right to look at items that are not restricted from public access. All right. If there's time, I'm actually thinking like I might have to do 2 live streams for Holeman. Crazy. Oh, thank you, Shivy. My lighting's okay. It's funny. All right. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing. Like I said, I really wanted to just kind of put them in different, categories here and just cover the ones that stuck out to me. There's a lot of interesting facts in here, or I guess alternative facts as well, in my opinion. Okay. Sorry. I have too many tabs open, like always. I'm looking for this PDF. Come on. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is Holeman's deposition. I believe this occurred on August 10th, 2023. Okay, and he did another deposition in 2024. And I believe that was Hennessy deposed him for the contempt hearing. So I'm probably going to cover that on a different live stream because that's like a whole nother category here. All right, so got a lot going on here. All right, so they swore him in. All right. All right. So as I mentioned in the beginning, like one of the first things that stuck out to me, and I'm not an attorney, but I do notice how Rozzi and Baldwin had, they ask everyone, hey, who did you talk to in preparation of, this deposition? And it looks like Holeman was, I guess, scheduled to have a deposition, which got canceled, pushed back. I'm thinking that might be due to when the attorneys were kicked off the case. I'm not sure. So Holeman states in here that he didn't have a lot of time to prepare this time. So when he was supposed to be deposed, he did spend a great deal of time to prepare for the deposition. But this time around, he was busy and he didn't have a lot of time to prepare. So right here, they're asking him, did you speak to, who did you speak to? Of course, like you spoke to Nick McClellan, which seems to be consistent in everyone's, testimony or depositions at least. And they asked who else, and he said, he was asked if he talked to Sheriff Liggett. He said it would have been. I've talked to him several times. So last week, probably Friday, earlier this week, it would have been before and after his deposition. So I think that was interesting, like I said, because it's like, are they comparing notes? I'm not sure if they're allowed to do that. But it did stick out to me. He also talked to Dave Vito the night prior. And then, he is followed up and said, he's asked, did you talk to Sheriff Liggett about anything that you didn't talk to Mr. McClellan about? He said no. So that was one thing. I'm not sure. What do y'all think about it? Is any lawyers in here that could maybe provide some additional insight on this? I mean, obviously, I think you have a right to prepare, for a deposition. I just don't know when, it's reaching or overreaching. Hey, who's your daddy? Sorry if I didn't see you. Who else we got in here? Mustang, how's it going? Hope all is well. Sorry, I'm not looking at the screen because I'm also looking at my notes on my other monitor. So there's, all right. So going on to witnesses and lineups. All right. It appears that I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can move this over. I'm sorry about that. I have to look at my notes. Oh, my dog wants to go out too. 1 second, please. Sorry. You hear her crying? I don't know why she's crying. It's okay, Geraldine. Sorry about that. What's going on? She's crazy. All right. So, in the deposition as well. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, everyone. I really am. You know how my dogs do. Okay. So where was I? Okay. I was talking about the witness lineups. So there seemed to be a deliberate strategic non-use of witness ID and lineup. And that has been consistent, I guess, with, I mean, they really didn't have anyone else do a lineup, but I don't think they ever were like this close. Obviously they haven't ever arrested anyone prior to Richard Allen, at least that I'm aware of. So in the transcript, They do go into that. They explore this, and they knew, based on Holeman's testimony or his deposition, that they were worried that no one would be able to, pick out Richard Allen in a lineup. Okay. And I do get it. It's 6 years later. So, witness testimonies, and their accounts of what they've seen 7 years later, definitely is not as, your memories fade with time. But what I found interesting is during trial, they did pick Richard Allen out based on the Bridge Guy video, right? So that is compelling to me, because no one picked out Richard Allen, and they didn't do a lineup. So basically, they were using a shitty video that is, I believe it's zoomed in and it's pixelated, and they even had to use software to try to, connect the dots with that, so to speak. So Holeman does admit, like I said, that there was concerns about the risk of showing, doing a lineup. So that was pretty compelling to me. Another thing too, speaking of witnesses, Sarah Carbaugh, within the deposition, Holeman states that there was no video of to really gauge like the timing. When did she see Muddy and Bloody Guy? Or I guess we could just say Bloody now. And they said they didn't have, video or images. That's what Holeman said, but that is incorrect, because they did have an exhibit of Sarah Carbaugh's vehicle going down 300 North. And I can pull that up right now. I'm sure everyone's probably seen that, but I'll pull it up just in case. All right, so this is Exhibit 219, Sarah Carbaugh's vehicle at 3:56 p.m. And this is right around the time where, she passes Muddy Guy or Bloody Guy. So let me pull it back. Let's go back to the deposition, and we'll look at exactly what was stated. I don't know why my dog's crying. She never cries like that. Okay. So let's go here. Is this the right one? I think it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Can you see my screen? Okay, here we go. It's just pretty slow. Let's see. It's here. I know it is. I know I highlighted it. That's crazy. Hold on. Okay. I'm sharing the wrong screen. My bad. I apparently have this open on 2 different windows for some reason. So let me do this. Okay. Here we go. Can you see it? I don't. Something's really weird going on with my StreamYard right now. I wonder if Cryptex had any problems on his live stream. Okay, here we go. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what was going on there. It was weird. It was sharing like the different screen and everything. All right. This thing is just so long. I should have wrote down page numbers. I'm sorry, people. Okay. Well, it's here. Trust. I just like. I'll send a link to this for everyone. It is in here, where he does state. Okay, here it is. Thank goodness. Thank you. Okay. So it says we're talking about, the man that's seen on 300 North. And then, Sarah Carbaugh saw this guy that she described as being muddy and bloody, right? You generally agree with that? Holeman says yes. And that this particular person was first seen somewhere between the Mears farm and the cemetery, I think. And then Holeman says yes. And then he's asked, is kind of what I gather talking to people with regard to the experience that Sarah Carbaugh had. Was there ever any surveillance video that reflected or corroborated, is probably a better word, that she said she saw? Says video, no. The only thing we have is her phone data. She was in the area at the time she said she was, and she's the only one that saw the person. And that person must have went behind the Hoosier Harvest store if he was walking that way, because we do not have him on camera going that way. Is that something you're asking? Well, yeah. So what is your opinion about the direction of travel of the person after Sarah Carbaugh saw the person? And Holeman says, what I said. So you're talking about north. And then he says, there's many options, obviously, but she sees him walking. I don't know what direction that is from the cemetery towards Mears. So we're assuming he's going that way. That's the witness statement. And we know she was there because we have her phone data. So he could have, after she left, he could have went back the other way. He could have went back and around Hoosier Harvest store over towards where the old CPS building is. I mean, there's multiple options. We don't have him on video going across. So we had to go some different direction. That's all I know. And I know, like, she went to trial. She testified. She's seen him. They went a little bit more into details. They did introduce this exhibit as evidence in the trial. We do have her car, so they use the car data or like the picture of her vehicle, right, instead of her phone information. But I just thought that was interesting also to kind of gauge what, where do they think he went? Because like he's not captured on camera. So it does look like they entertain that, that line of thinking here as to like, okay, well, because I always wondered why why didn't all the people that were congregating in the mayor's lot, why didn't anyone see Richard Allen if he was walking down 300 North, traveling westbound? So I guess, like, again, like the state's theory is like, if she did see Richard Allen, um, he walked north and went around the Hoosier Harvest store camera. So I thought that was interesting, but I just wanted to point out there's just an inconsistency with it, and maybe Holeman didn't have all the exhibits or knew what was on camera, which is kind of concerning itself because he is the lead investigator. So that kind of tells me a little bit more like they really didn't look at this camera data. And I know I sound like a broken record here, but it's like one thing that the FBI does very well is track vehicles. So I always, when they said that they had this, Richard Allen's vehicle going down 300, I'm like, there's no way they knew what the vehicle was. Because if they knew what the vehicle was, they would have found him. So I think really like this video was not necessarily really scrutinized or examined or whatever. So I just thought that was interesting. Another inconsistency that I had seen with the witnesses is so we have, Riley Voorhees, Brianne Wilbur, Anna S, and then what's her name? Oh my, Isabella. So in this deposition here, in the transcripts of that, Holeman had stated that the reason why Isabel was not mentioned or really talked to was because her age. So I went back and looked at Riley Voorhees' testimony during trial, and she had specifically stated that her sister, who is Isabel, was around 12 years old at the age, and Holeman said she was 6. So there's still like a discrepancy there. I don't know how old she is. It would definitely make sense why they wouldn't have spoken to Isabel Voorhees at that time, if she was 6, but within her testimony here, let me make this a little bit bigger. Right here, so this is, I don't know what date this is from. She talks about, picking up, she left from her dad's house. She picked up her sister, who is Anna. And then, when she left her father's house, her sister, Isabella, I think, was with her already. So right here, let me go back up. So she's asked, okay, you mentioned taking a sister from your dad's house, and what sister would that be? She says Isabel Voorhees. And what was Isabel's age in relation to you? Younger, older? Younger. She was maybe 12, and she's my half sister. So just like another inconsistency here, where Holeman, here, I'll pull it up. and it's still searching. Gonna be very slow. While I wait for it to pull it up, let me check in with the chat. All right, I know I'm behind. Okay. I have a doggy door, Shivy. I do. Like, so both my dogs have collars that opens a doggy door, so it opens and closes. Like their collar has a remote on it. But that's downstairs, and my female husky is like attached to my hip, so she needs me to go to the stairs so she could walk down there and go to the bathroom. Crazy. What else we got here? Try to wait until that loads up. Yeah, that's a good point, Zeke. He worked in a one-man lineup behind the counter at CVS. Nutty buddy guy. Shibby says Liggett changed the tan coat to blue because video and inferred blood because she said she looked like he was in a fight. Yeah, so that's also in this transcript. Thank you for bringing that up because Holeman is asked about, did anyone else see this man that Sarah did? That was a follow-up question. And he said, oh, nope, he wasn't seen anywhere else, but, the bridge, like alluding to the video. But like Sarah also stated he wasn't wearing the same clothes that bridge guy was wearing, right? So, and then he was specifically asked, he was specifically asked if it was like similar clothing, I believe. So, that is interesting. UFOs making a pit stop, Peggy. Yeah. Take me away. No. I swear, it's like I live in like a nut house here with these dogs. I'm like, it's fine. I'm telling you, I say this all the time. All day long, they're fine. Maybe I need to start doing live streams like earlier in the day, like in the afternoon. Because it seems like they're just like, maybe because like I said, like before, that they hear me talking and they're probably like, who is she talking to? They're probably thinking she's doing that Delphi shit again. Coronal mass ejection is always a good excuse. Where did Mr. Allen stand for the lineup? In the middle? No, like Zeke, I'm sorry, maybe if I didn't explain this right. Like there was no lineup at all in this entire investigation. They didn't do a lineup whatsoever. And that's what Holeman was speaking to. See if I could. Is that 2 words? I'm an idiot. No, it's one. See, like this, my control F is just not working very well. I don't know how they spelled this thing. Okay, here we go. So right here, were any of those witnesses offered up any kind of lineup photo shown any type of images. Is that better? Sorry about that. Oh, now I lost. Okay. Were any of those witnesses offered up any kind of lineup photo, shown any type of images, and asked to identify Richard Allen? No, we discussed the lineups, but because of the time period when we discovered Richard Allen was the guy on the bridge, we didn't feel like that would be appropriate to do a lineup 6 years later. And then a follow-up question, why not? Just a lot of changes. Again, we as Unified Command and Prosecutor McClellan, we discussed lineups, and we just didn't feel like that a lineup would be appropriate. Then he's asked, were you concerned that one of them might not identify him? Answer, I mean, obviously that's a concern, but I think it's more trying to have them recall those events 6 years later. You had spoke with these people on a number of occasions during the course of the investigation, right? I have not spoken to, well, I mean, your investigative team. Yes. I mean, these are people you almost maintain constant contact with as you were working through this investigation. I would say that yes, there was not constant but frequent. I would use frequent contact with the eyewitnesses. So there were opportunities to kind of refresh the recollection about what was going on just because you were talking about the case. Oh, yes. But were you concerned that they may not able to make an accurate identification if you were to offer that up to them? Answer, I think that's an appropriate statement. Yes, we were afraid that because of the time frame, they wouldn't be able to give an accurate depiction of the person that they saw 6 years ago. If that would have happened, hypothetically, would that have made your investigation more difficult? If they were able to, if they couldn't, absolutely. And then a follow-up. I mean, it's a pretty memorable event. You would think, correct? Yes. Okay, let's talk about the timeline in this case, okay? Are you generally familiar with what I'm talking about when I say timeline? I'm talking about basically February 13th from maybe 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is that? Yes. You generally know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the timeline. Like, I feel like they were trolling each other during this testimony. Okay, so he says, I do. Okay, do you believe that the timeline that has been kind of created, I'll say, is an accurate one? Yes. Okay, did you specifically play any role in creating that timeline? And this is really interesting, guys. I didn't know this, but okay. So his answer is collecting data and briefs with some of the other people that collected that data, yes. But as far as putting the timeline together, that was done by our intel analysis or analysts. Okay, can you tell me what does that mean? Because that's the first time I've ever heard that phrase. And this is Razi, so like his brother is an ISP like officer. Like I think he's a ranking officer. So just keep that in mind. So when he says like this is the first time I've heard that, not only does he have trial experience and probably looked at hundreds and hundreds different types of discovery during this, but he also has like a relative that works at ISP. So anyway, okay, so his question. Okay, can you tell me what that means? Because that's the first time I ever heard that phrase. Intel analyst? Yeah, it's an analyst that we have that helps with our intelligence gathering. Who is that? Her name is Stacy Gosnell Day. And there's another one. His name is Jazz Munn. Sorry. I had to read this a couple times. Not Jasmine, but Jazz, Jazz, and the Munn, Munn. Are these law enforcement officers? They're employed by the Indiana State Police, but they're civilians. Well, like, isn't all police officers like? I don't know. What is it like? I don't know what that means. Like, aren't we all civilians? I don't know. Like, is he saying they're not like law enforcement officers? Like that? That's like a real question. I'm just curious. Um, and then they go in and talk about, Miss Day. And apparently, like, this was all supposed to be like confidential because they're, kind of like, I don't want to say like special clearance, but they are, they want to protect their identities because they're doing something, I don't know, confidential, I guess. See, that's where he talks about, he says, what do they do? Or he's asked, what do they do? Their names are not going to be in our report, okay? But any work product they do, like the timeline, they'll be responsible for that. So tell me what they're tasked with. Gathering intelligence. If we got a tip on somebody, they would give us information, address, phone numbers, work history, criminal history, anything that we needed to help us investigate that tip. And then also at some point, they helped us with the timeline. So they're like special intelligence. So yeah, kind of sucks that their names got released, but they did. But that like really kind of explains, like, you got, so now we have like this other group, right? So we have like all these different agencies, and then within those agencies, right? So even like within the ISP, we also have separate, I guess, departments, I guess we'll call it, that for now. But and it's just like there's so many people, it just seems so disconnected, which could explain some things. All right, I'm checking with the chat. I don't want to get too behind. I think I'm like 20 minutes behind already. So sorry if I don't catch everyone. Okay, so unindicted. So Sarah Carbaugh is like, oh, I'm sorry, but like, Sarah Carbaugh is my top 5 least reliable witness ever. Yeah, I agree. Hi, Tammy. So now Ari walked down the road, muddy and bloody, then walked up and around an open business to avoid a camera. Yeah, apparently so. And then like that, like, is all open. Like, yeah, there's a building there. It's really long, so it goes way back, But like when you're driving down the road, that, like, he would be visible. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like pretty much an open field all around it, besides like the Mears property. But good point. Shippy says the car parked 5 streets over for 5 years. Mullins and Holeman couldn't find it. Yeah. The white man that talked to them 2 days after from Whiteman Drive, surname Whiteman, or Whiteside, no, just kidding, eluded them and changed his fishing license to closer match description. Tammy says Riley and Bree were 5'6", 5'7", so how would either of them come up to his shoulders of 5'4" RA? Was he cross-dressing in stilettos? Shibby says they couldn't find him or the car they had screenshots of. Sounds legit to me. What about other animals getting through? Maybe I missed one of your comments or maybe you need a man, not a dog. Yeah, stop. Oh, Herbie, who's Herbie? Herbie, beep beep. And they do talk about, okay, so they do talk in this deposition about the whole, you know, trying to do a height analysis. And, you know, Holeman, I think a lot of us heard this before, they decided not to pay the $10,000 to do it because it would be, you know, like a 2-inch variance both ways, you know, so like let's say 4 inches, right? But I mean, I think that would be pretty, you know, compelling for, you know, especially if they're trying to prosecute somebody that's 5'4", right? Because I mean, let's say it lands on 5'3", let's just say, for example. I mean, that's between 5'1", right, and 5'5". Like that would definitely help them, you know, even like before Richard Allen was on the radar, that would help them, you know, rule out anyone that's, you know, over 5'5", right? So I just don't understand why they wouldn't do that. I kind of question if they did, to tell you the truth, because they did use this company to do some video analysis, and I'm going to touch about this video because that did upset me as well. So I will circle back to the video in a little bit. Okay, so ACV, welcome. Nice to see you. So All Eyes on Delphi has this on her page. I'll try to link this after the live stream. I'll put it like on my Google Drive if you want to access this. And then also I have his, you know, trial testimony as well that I can share. Nice to see you. Peggy, can you drop a link of this? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm way behind. Civilians are non-LEO. Thank you. All right. Peggy, I have all eyesight open. What you gotta like, you have to really look for it. So where it's located within her website. So if you go to the Frank's memo, I think it's like the motion of, what was it? The 18th. I think it's September I think it's September 18th. I could be wrong, but it's like August or September 18th, the first one. And you click on it, there's like exhibits. So that's how this document became public access, because it was an exhibit that was entered with the Frank motion, which then I think because it was also an exhibit in the original action, it, you know, is public. Like there's more scrutiny on making it public. I don't know. I could totally be wrong there, but so I don't think that they thought that so I think they thought that this would not get released. Yes, it's the August 10th ACV. All right, let me just get the link. I'll get the link so y'all can follow along. See if I have it open in my million tabs here. All right, I think I got it. Okay, so if we go to trial docket. I think this is the path that I went. I went trial docket, and then I went down to find the Franks, which would have been what, to 2023. Hold on. All right, I'm in June. Let's see. Getting close. Okay, got it. All right, I'll put this link in here. So this will take you to all the exhibits of the Franks. ACV says, does anyone else think Jasmine? Oh, no, I don't think so. It is one actually, but I don't think it was like deliberately meant to be that. I got it. I think I'm almost there. So I'm like 3 minutes behind. All right. Peggy's behind. I get serious in comments soon. LOL. Sorry. No problem. All right. So what else? Let me look at my notes. Okay. So the next thing on my list here is failure to record key statements from Richard Allen. Okay. So the deposition confirms Holeman had multiple private unrecorded interactions with Allen during the 2022 search warrant execution, and that Allen allegedly said, "It's over, you've ruined my life," but no recording of the audio was made. Now, at trial, the state referenced that remark as a spontaneous admission, but jurors were never told the statement came from an unrecorded conversation, so reducing transparency about reliability. There's like some credibility attacks anchored to recording choices. So Holeman had a recorder, used it on other car rides that day, but not for the alleged "it's over" remark. He also cannot deliver an audio for it, only his report. So in this deposition, Holeman was specifically asked if he recorded, he had a recorder. And I'm paraphrasing here, obviously. But he said, yeah, I always have a recorder on me all the time. And then when he's pressed on this issue, he just, essentially was like, "Oh no, I didn't record it." So he had access to it. Let's see if I can find it in here. Okay, so this is talking about at prison. Okay, so this is the area. Let me go up a little bit. Okay, so they're talking about different things that were recorded. So they're talking, okay, I'll start here. And if anyone's looking at this, like I'm around like on page 87. Okay. Oh, here's another thing before I forget. So after Richard Allen was at Westville, Holeman and some other people went back to the went to the prison to visit him to basically see if he had like a change of heart, like he was going to, confess. Um, Now, if we remember, like this is post safekeeping hearing, right? And Richard Allen did, state that, he does want an attorney, right? And he intended to hire an attorney. I know like they did hire an attorney, but I think it was like too expensive. So he did not have an attorney at the safekeeping hearing, but like he's already been arrested, right? And so to me, going to this prison, it kind of came across like, oh, you had time to think about it. Like, I don't know, like I kind of remember like when I was a kid and I was sent to my room, my parents would give me like what, an hour or two, it felt like that at the very least, and come back and be like, have you thought, did you think about this, and have another conversation. And it just seemed like this was very, like, I got that vibe from this. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. Okay. And tell me what came from that. Well, let me go up a little bit more. Cut to the chase here. And was there a bona fide, I hate the word plan, but an approach that was agreed upon in terms of how you were going to approach him at the prison? Yeah. Were you going to use the read interrogation or some other technique? I don't know if any of that was discussed. The strategy was that the unified command felt like I had a better rapport. I'm sorry, with him, and I was going to go up there and attempt to interview him and tell me what came from that attempt. Brought him in the correctional facility. They brought him into an administrative office. I think I said, I'm sure you don't want to see me right now. Like, okay, I have to pause. So, like, if you had a good rapport or a better rapport, like the first thing you say is, "I'm sure you don't want to see me right now." That's kind of contradictory. Okay, and so he says, "I'm sure you don't want to see me right now," and he shook his head like he acknowledged, oops, that he heard me. And I said, "But I would like to sit down with you and talk to you." And he sat down. I think that's supposed to be sat down. I read him his rights. He said, "I don't want to talk." So the correctional facility officers took him back. Was that audio or video recorded? I believe just audio. It could have been video because they were, obviously, that anytime they moved him, or I'm sorry, I just like lost where I was. Okay. Anytime they moved him, they had video cameras. I don't recall. All that was collected by Steve Mullen, and he should have that. Yeah. The technology guy. Great. Did you take a handheld with you? I did not. To record any important details? I asked, and they said they had one there for us to use. They didn't want us to bring, sometimes they would let us bring a recorder in. Okay, pause. Sometimes they would let us bring a recorder in. Like, how many times were you there? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm going to go back in. Okay. Depending on where we were going. But at that time, they said that they would provide one, I believe. Kind of an extension of what we're talking about. Is there any evidence in this case to suggest Richard Allen admitted to any responsibility for playing a role in this crime before he was imprisoned? Can you, that he said, hey, I did this, or I was involved in this crime before he went to jail? Not specifically, but he made some comments that were concerning to me. Okay, tell me what these were. At the scene, he kept saying, it's over. You've ruined my life. It's over. It doesn't matter. At the scene, at the search warrant scene. I'm sorry. So I was at the search warrant. I was securing the scene. You mean in the home? Yeah, we secured it. And he, at one point, I had private contact with him multiple times, actually. And he said, it's over. It's over. What else did he say? You would have to refer to my report to get that, the exact, I did do a report. It was not that was not audio recorded. Okay, so he didn't specifically say anything in detail about the crime scene or what he had happened. No, just concerning comments like that innocent people don't normally make. Okay, was he under any stress at the time? Probably a little bit stressed. Yeah, I would say. Why was he under a little bit stress? Well, police were searching the house, that he killed 2 girls, and probably stressing out that we're going to find evidence to prove it. Okay, maybe then a little bit of stress, right? He was smoking a lot of cigarettes. Is there any information or evidence to suggest that he admitted to any of these crimes while he was incarcerated here in Delphi? Not to my knowledge. Same question about White County Jail. Not to my knowledge. Then when we get to Westville, we're familiar with the phone calls. I want to talk about it, but I don't want to get into specific dates and times. But when generally do you believe it was that Richard Allen made any incriminating statement at Westville? Just give me a general time frame. Obviously, I'm going to say I'd have to look at my report. Sure, to get more accurate time, but it was probably March, April, May. So how did those come to your attention? And then they talk about, I think we all know, or most of us know, that, his calls are being monitored. I mean, that happens anywhere and everywhere, any jail, so that's not uncommon. But he did, going back to this whole, while they were searching his home, prior to that, Holeman said that he always carried a recorder around. So that was like something that I found interesting. And then he kind of retracted that, statement. All right, so I'm checking with the chat. Stay there. Think about what you've done, young lady. Yeah. STS. Okay, that was sent to me. Meanwhile, get near the air duct and listen to parents to find out exactly how much they know during that hour. Yes, exactly. Oh, that's funny. Hey, Owl. How's it going? Innocent people don't make those comments, only guilty people. Those guilty of speaking to 12 without a lawyer. Yeah. All right. All right. So the next topic here that I have is connections between other persons of interest. So in this deposition, there was talk, like there was a lot of people being mentioned. And let me set the scene a little bit and refresh everyone's memory. So keep in mind that Holeman had no idea that Todd Click had sent that, I guess we could call it the Odin report, because if you remember, when he walked out of this deposition, he was really pissed off about, them receiving this report. And if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong on this, but I think like Click was waiting to be deposed next. And Holeman said something to him. I don't know the exact words. So when they're talking about Elvis Fields, they're talking about Brad, Patrick Westfall, what's the other guy's name? I can't believe Brad Holder. There we go. They're talking about, like some of the Kokomo guys. So they're basically talking about the people that Todd Click and Ferenczi and all those have been investigating, that they included in a certified letter to Nick McClellan. They had no idea, or my perception, they hadn't had an idea that the defense knew about this at this time. So as this deposition is going and they're mentioning names, there's like some back and forth going on. So I think they did, catch him off guard. And I think that's also included in like the supplemental Franks, or maybe the motion to compel, all about, then the defense not being provided, this report, until they had to ask for it or bring it to the attention. So anyhow, so going back, so connections between other persons of interest. So there's an evolving theory narrative. So Holeman moves from maybe multiple to one actor that's frameable as evolution with evidence, as shifting sand. So late in the 2023 deposition, Holeman acknowledged links among multiple individuals. For example, Elvis Fields, Johnny Messer, Ned Smith, and admitted there is a connection with the people, yes, though not necessarily the crime scene. And that web of relationships is suspicious. So, like, for example, Elvis's Field, the spit comment. And, we know that was omitted from trial, right? Because they weren't allowed the third party. But, despite the defense theory, it seems like that was still, that was pursued. And, Holeman in this deposition basically says that he believes that there was, multiple actors here. And they do press him on that, especially like pertaining to Kagan Klein. Holeman does, within the deposition, state that he believes that the girls were lured out to the bridge, and that there was a social media component to this, right? And like yesterday, we looked at the phone data, and there is, a lot of Instagram, Snapchat, and all that going on. And we do know, based on Kagan Klein's interview, that those transcripts, that Kagan Klein did contact the girls, or at least Libby, the morning, as early or latest as the morning of, February 13th. So in this deposition, Holeman is still like open to this possibility. But when we get to trial, it's only Richard Allen. So that was very compelling to me. So let me pull that up. All right, come on. I'm checking with chat while it hopefully. Okay. Yeah, do you want to come up, Shibby? You can come up. That'd be cool because like it's hard to read the transcript, which is like one voice. Here, I put a link in there. I would love for you to come up. Here we go. Okay. Shibbers. Hey.
Hello.
Hey. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking.
Ooh,
So
that's a good start.
first of all, thank you for coming up.
Oh,
Appreciate
my
that.
pleasure.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So I'm on page 20.
Oh, holy shit. I was on 86.
Well, I was on 86, but then I control left it and put incline.
Oh shit. I'm
Yeah,
scrolling.
take your time. Take
I'm
your time.
scrolling with my mouse wheel. So I'm at 60. I don't feel like exiting full screen. Well, I'll grab my keyboard. It's over here. So what's up?
You got it?
Nope. What
All right.
page again? Sorry.
So
What
it's
page?
20.
20.
20.
Boom. I'm there.
All right. So who do you want to be? Do you want to
Uh,
be
I want to be exactly who you want me to be. I'm just kidding. Oh, Dwayne Datsman? Who else is there? Or Ole?
Jasmine?
Datsman? Is that a name?
No, Jasmine. Do you
Wait,
want to be?
I'm
You can
in the
be
wrong
both.
doc.
I don't care. I'll
Wait,
be the Duke.
wait. 1 sec. I'm in the wrong document. I'm looking at Datsman and Ole on page 20. So I'm
Oh,
probably in the wrong document. So
okay. Let me.
I'm on All Eyes website. I was in the first one we were looking at. I never left it. So
That's okay. We'll get you there.
because
We'll
I
get.
disconnected a second to open up my other browser to test out my microphone and stuff. So
Uh-huh. No
so
problem. Here, let me put that in there. Let's see. It is.
hey, Hebby, how's it going? Dave, how you doing? ACV, I'll say hi to him. UCO, how's it going?
Here we go.
Uh, packed house here, 14 people. I'll be Sergeant Schultz. Yep. Does he
There we
have
go.
a
Here's the
Canadian
correct.
accent?
Yeah.
Go on. I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yep. 1 sec.
Say about. Say the word about.
A boot. No, about. About. I'm in Ontario, so we're basically like normal speaking. It's out east and out west they do speak differently, and in Quebec, obviously.
Yeah. I've been to
That's what they.
Quebec.
Pardon me.
I've been to Quebec before.
No, it's
Yeah,
Quebec.
whatever. I've been
No,
there.
because
Montreal.
It's not Quebec. Don't ever say that. They'll get all over you.
I'll say what
Seriously.
I want. Damn it! No, I'm
No,
sorry.
well, then you won't get service probably.
Well, I mean, I couldn't speak French, so
No, you don't have to. But I mean, when they say question, it's question, so it's a K sound. So Quebec.
oh,
Don't say quoi.
okay.
It's Quebec. Like question is question. Dave will
Well,
know. He's half French, I think. From Barrie, Ontario. Dude, that's like 20 minutes away from me. Half an hour.
yeah, Montreal is cool.
No, he said Barrie, Ontario, but Montreal, yeah. I go partying. Dave's been to Montreal too, downtown. Bar hopping is amazing
Yeah,
for sure.
it is really cool. I went to that castle they have there. I forgot the name of it, and they had
Yes.
an escape room in there, but it was
Oh
like
yeah.
an
Yeah.
escape room where there was actors and actresses there. Like it was cool.
Cool.
It was real fun.
Yeah. Montreal, for me to get, I could get there in probably 2.5 hours if I drive like fast. At least 100, 140 kilometers an hour. So that would be around 90 or 100, at least 80 or 90 miles an hour. Because there's like a long stretch where the cops won't bug you. You can just set the cruise control at whatever you want. Anyways, okay, so I got it. So where do you want me to read?
Okay. So how about line 18?
Okie doke. Just that? Or I'll do
Mhm.
the questions and do you want to do the answers, or what are we doing here?
Yeah, it could be the tool. No problem.
So who's asking the question?
Oh, I think that's Rosie or Rozzy
Okay, so I'll be Rosie, and who's answering?
Holeman.
Okay. Now, do you want to do one of them, or I can do both? I don't care.
No. You do Rozzy. That's fine.
Okay.
I
All
won't do
right,
it as
move it.
well as Sleuthy Goosey with her accent.
No. I'll be happy just to not screw up. I don't need to make accents. But, I'm still a noob. I'll work up to that, but I'll be good now, which is not screwing up.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on here. How many individuals do you think were involved in this crime?
I believe one individual, which is Richard Allen, is involved in this crime.
You don't think there's anybody else that had any knowledge of this beforehand or any involvement in the actual act?
I don't believe there's anyone that had involvement. Oops. Hold on, in the actual act, but I do believe there's possibility could be somebody that was communicating with the girls and was setting the meeting up.
So are you suggesting that somebody else may have been, I don't want to use the word baiting them, but involved in the preparation of this particular act?
Catfishing?
Yeah,
Yes.
with the knowledge that there was going to be an end result that involved Rick Allen?
I don't know about the knowledge of the end result, but I do believe that somebody was communicating with the girls to have them meet with somebody
Okay.
out there.
Okay, let me ask a better question. Do you think that there was coordinated effort to get these girls to the location by more than one person?
Yes.
Who's this other person?
Keegan Klein.
Yeah, that's a good one. Hey, do you want us to read more? Like, I didn't know how much you want to read. I'll read the whole
No,
thing
yeah,
if you want.
keep on going. No, we can keep on going.
Okay.
That's
You tell me when to stop and we'll just go.
okay.
And what is your belief based on? Just in general? I'm not trying to get into 5 years of investigation, but just tell me, why do you believe that?
Why do I believe what?
Let me ask a better question, dummy. No, I'm just kidding. With, withdraw that question. Have you unearthed any evidence that connects Keegan Klein with Richard Allen?
Not at this point, no.
First of all, I don't think we should get into the mind shock Keegan Klein, unless you want to,
No, that's okay.
because I can see us doing that and getting way out of control here and losing viewers.
probably.
Just kidding. Have you attempted to unearth evidence that connects those two?
Yes, we know they were living in the same area. Kagan's father was close in age and lived in the same area, but nothing at this point.
Is there, at this time, is there an active investigation focused on anyone other than Richard Allen?
No,
Not even Keegan Klein?
I don't think it's active anymore due to lack of cooperation on his part. Okay, I just want to pause here.
Yep.
So, and actually, HCC brought this up today in Cryptex's chat, and I think he makes a very, very good point here. It seems like the pattern here is like if somebody just stops cooperating, they like stop their investigation. And then we're seeing that here. It's not active due to lack of cooperation on his part. And, you know, I mean, in fairness, too, like they could have just chased it down as far as it needs to go. But I think there is still a component of the Dropbox, you know, that kind of really started a lot of the whole, you know, uncovering of, you know, the, you know,
I
I'm
can
trying
add
not
to,
to get banned from YouTube right now, but you know what I'm saying, like the whole ring of pedos.
mhm.
So, and another thing that stuck out to me too, if I'm just going to go back up here, is um, him using like present tense term, like it's not past tense. Um, you know, he's saying, let me get an example of that. I think I went. We think we went too. I went too far. Okay, so he's asked here. Let me ask maybe a better question. Do you think there was a coordinated effort to get these girls? And he says yes. Who is that other person? Kagan Klein. Okay, right here. Yes, we know they were living in the same area. So he was asked, have you attempted to unearth evidence that connects the two? Yes, we know that they were living in the same area. So I just think like it's just interesting that you know, when they get to trial, it's just nope, only one person is involved here. And that's kind of like why I'm still kind of hanging on in this Delphi sphere is like I do believe that there's more than one person involved. Okay, this is what I was looking for. He specifically asked in present tense, you know, do you think, meaning like now, right? Do you think that oh, sorry, that's a bad example. Do you think that there was a coordinated effort? Okay, that was a bad example. I know I've seen something up here where he was speaking in present tense, but of course I can't find it right now.
Well, I'm not going to help you because if I leave this page, I'll never get back to where I am. So I'm staying where we left off. So you're on your own.
Okay.
Oh, I could add, while you're looking, I could just add a quick comment. What I've noticed with their whole investigation is, like with the photos, it's almost like they just want something to spin, but they don't want to actually finish the investigation. Like they had the photo leak, but going to collect the photos wasn't their, concern afterwards, right? They just wanted to have that to use against the defense, in my opinion. Seems like
Yeah, I
everything,
agree with you. Mm-hmm.
they just want more things they want to get them and spin it how they want and not actually get to the truth of it, in my the way I see it. And what were
Yeah.
you saying before? You were saying something before. Somebody said something.
Oh, in the chat?
Today.
No, I was just
Yeah.
saying I found it. Well, let me just go back. So in his answer, line 25 here, I don't believe there's anyone that had involvement in the actual act, but I do believe there's possibilities. There's possibility could be somebody that was communicating with the girls and setting meeting up. So like that's in present tense. I do believe. It doesn't mean I did believe. He didn't say I did believe this, you know. So and this is what August of 20 was it 2013 or 2014? And then do you remember how, like, in the interview, he had specifically, Holman says, I know you were involved and I'm going to prove it, and he kept on asking him, about,
Did you
yeah, go ahead.
did you mean to say 2013? You said 2013, not 2023,
No,
right?
yeah. No, yeah, I meant 2023. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. No problem. Okay. So I see what you're saying, but also, yeah, like when the reason for the gag order was because they didn't want to notify other people involved. So
Mhm.
yeah, they even believed there was more people.
Right. But when he gets to trial, it's just, like I said, it's just like, nope, it's just, I think he might have
Right.
mentioned something about, like, like briefly about Kagan Klein, but I don't think it was, maybe he wasn't asked the right question. I don't know, but it just seems like it's open ended here. Like, is there somebody else involved or is there not? Are there multiple? How about I'll rephrase it? Is there multiple people involved in this tragedy? And I think that they always believed there were multiple people. And I don't believe this whole sketch, like, and that's another thing in here that I did not put on my list, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to just mention it. Holeman, like, said that he thinks the young guy and the old guy look alike in this deposition. And even, like, Rozzy kind of presses him on that, and it was like, because there was another, like, side by side, and I think it wasn't. Oh, it was a side by side of the Brad Weber's sticks, the asterisk thing, and then one of the girls, right? I think it was Abby, and he's saying, "Oh, I don't think those two look alike." And he's like, "Okay, well, which one looks more similar? The two sketches or this side by side?" And he was kind of like, I think he avoided it or didn't, like, you couldn't get a straight answer from him in here.
Yeah.
So
Hey, me and Amy were reading Nick's thing, closing statements yesterday, and we talked about this, and I believed at the time that they obviously didn't want to talk about the sketches at trial because they didn't want to bring light to the fact that none of their witnesses saw the same guy, or none of them could point to Richard Allen sitting right there. They wanted to avoid that.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yep. That's it.
I'm just reading the comments here. So ACV says, Shibby has a great point. Sergeant Schultz didn't want to investigate the leaks beyond Robert and Mitch, even though he had names of others. He just stopped.
Yes.
Another thing in here too is they say, I'm sending you, like, they're talking about exhibits and they're saying, I'm sending you this now. And I'm like, well, what is that? Like, is he sending it electronically? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand what he was implying there, but it seemed like he was sending him the exhibits electronically.
Yep. And for ACV, I usually make 1 or 2 good statements per year. So if you stick around long enough, I may just say something again. Good. All right. I'll try.
So Alice says,
Hey,
the reason they wanted
to fire me again. Sorry.
What did you say?
I said if Peggy doesn't fire me again.
Fire you. Silly. Okay. The reason they wanted to release the PCA is because they didn't want to tip off other actors. Yep.
Oh, did we start reading again?
No, I'm just going through the comments. Sorry. What did we make of Reese Davies' letters about our Ron Logan and Kagan Klein told them that 3 people were involved, lured to Ron Logan's farm, etc.
Right. Well, Reese's the only one who brought up box cutter until their third ME's report. when he decided to include it, finally, he didn't seem to think it was important the first few. The Emmy.
Yep. I just
Yep.
find it so weird. Like to me, a box cut, that is not a common weapon to be
Well,
used.
first of all, it wouldn't matter because how can you tell that a cut was made by a box cutter, like a razor blade, a sharp? I mean, it's ridiculous. And
Carpet cutter.
secondly,
Hmm.
hmm?
A carpet
So
cutter. Yeah.
yeah, it's basically the same thing. But you can't tell. And the fact that they didn't find a box cutter, but I mean, I can in my tool bench, I have 20 of them. Every job I've had, they usually carry one around in your pocket if you're working with boxes and stuff. Like
Hmm.
they're everywhere. There's, I bet you, there's probably 300 billion of them in the USA alone. It's ridiculous. I mean, if they
Yeah.
found one in his pocket or in his car with blood, that's a different story. But they're just implying all this. They're inferring it. It's all a fiction.
Yep. Like I really
Yeah.
want to get some statistics. Like I talked about this too. Like what's the odds that there's two purple vehicles in the area at, this time, this date, and then also like what is the odds that, how many unalivings or red rooms occur with a box cutter? And what is the likelihood that, we want to say Reese Davis, you know, was making it up? Like, what is the odds for him to guess that? And what's the
Yeah.
odds of two people saying box cutter? You
2 or 3 years early. Like they didn't take his word on it 2 or 3 years earlier, but then in trial, all of a sudden, they box cutter is credible. Like what the fuck? It's just they do whatever is convenient at the moment for them. Like a pick your storybook. He's just going through and choosing which way to get through the story.
exactly. So Anaditis says, and in the post-conviction news conference, the tip line is still open. I wonder, did they take down the FBI sketch or wanted poster, whatever you want to call it? I mean, it was still up even during trial. I do know that because I did check.
Oh, are you talking about the one that Dan Doolin and Jerry Holman stood by for 5 years and didn't recognize the guy that they had that Doolin talked to? That sketch? I mean, not
Um,
sketch. Sorry, the picture of BG.
no, it was like an FBI wanted. I guess
Right,
like
right. But it was a BG. It was BG.
yeah, but it also had the young guy sketch on
Well,
it too.
I mean, I'm just saying, Doolin, 2 days after, has a white man come to him saying he was on the bridge wearing these clothes. He lived on Whiteman Drive, and he tricked him with his surname Whiteman. I'm sure he told me he had a black car, and gave him his phone and all this shit. And then for 5 years, nothing. It's obvious they didn't think he was involved, as if they lost it. It's such bullshit. I don't accept that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And speaking about the vehicle, I mean, that's a good segue here to talk about that. Let me find that because they do speak about the vehicle, and Jerry Holman like overplays it in here. We said it's a match, but that's not how it's described, in the PCA. I want to pull that up.
Right. And do you know how far Richard Allen's house was from the Hoosier Harbor store?
I
Exactly?
think
Because I was.
I think it's like a little bit over a mile.
Okay, so get this. They have this car on picture, our video. They know it's involved. They're sure of it. It's such a great picture. The guy comes and talks to them, and then they can't find that car 1 mile away for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Because they never identified it. That's my opinion on that. Because like if they
Well,
if they would identify this vehicle, they
no,
would know.
it's easy. I think they identified it and didn't think he was involved. What? As if?
Mm.
Come on. As if The guy came to them and said all this stuff, and there's only one registered in the area.
But they didn't
It's
even know at trial. So are you saying
no,
then
I don't. Well, you
Holeman?
believe them. I don't believe them to say that because as
No.
if they wouldn't check. What's the first place they would do? They have all these tools. Every computer they can get in the DMV and run types of cars. As if they're
Mhm.
not running a black Ford Focus because they had the photo of it. They're so full of shit. I don't accept any of it. And the only reason they got away with it is because Gull patted Nick's tushy the whole time.
Okay, so I am now on page 60, 60. Can you go there? Because I want to
Holy
read
shit.
it
Yes.
out.
One second.
Thank you.
Thank you. 60?
60.
I like
60.
60 better. I'm just kidding. 60. And I'm there. Okay.
All right, so let's start at 19. Por
Was there
favor.
any was Mademoiselle? Was there any surveillance video that was collected in this case that connected Richard Allen to the particular crime scene?
Yes.
Tell me tell me what it was.
Hoosier Harvest Store, there's a video of a vehicle matching the vehicle that he owned, matching the description of a vehicle that he owned. And then through his interviews, he stated that he traveled that way in a vehicle, and we have that vehicle on the video.
What's the matching description?
It was, I believe it was a black car. He said he was driving, he had at the time. He parked over at the old CPS building. He referred to it as something else.
He being Richard Allen.
Yeah, Richard Allen referred to the site that he parked to something else. He didn't refer to it as the old CPS building. That's what it was.
So what do you recall about the description from the video? Was it just a black car?
It was a vehicle that he owned at the time.
Did you watch that video yourself?
I did not watch the whole video. I believe I was shown a still shot of the vehicle compared to his vehicle.
How would you describe the vehicle? Did it have four wheels?
I would describe it as being matching the description of the vehicle that he was driving at that time.
And what was that?
I can't remember exactly the type of vehicle. Subaru, I believe.
Is this Weber we're talking about?
No, we're still
No.
on we're Holeman.
So why are they saying Subaru?
Exactly.
Hmm. You said, I'm sorry? Oh, I just did the same thing Rosie did.
I believe it was the Subaru. I'd have to refer to the report to give you the most accurate answer.
Was there any other surveillance video that was recovered that connected Richard Allen to the crimes in this case?
No.
Was there any surveillance video that you recovered that contained any information about Richard Allen's whereabouts on February 13th, 2017, other than what we talked about?
No.
Something from here in town or his employer or anything like that?
No.
Is there any surveillance video that contains images of Richard Allen at the trail on February 13th, 2017?
No.
Let's talk about what I've titled here as hate crimes. Okay? That's kind of my general description. Did any part of your investigation focus on the possibility that these deaths could have resulted from a hate crime
Yes.
of some sort?
Yes.
Tell me what the focus was.
The
Yes, no,
focus
yes.
the focus was how the bodies were found and that they had sticks laid on top of them. And I forgot and I forget the exact investigator that brought up a term called Odinism. So Sergeant Steve Buckley reached out to a professor at Purdue that he actually was out of the country at the time, and we did not release the photos, but we released a sketch of the sticks, how they were laid, and some other information. And that Purdue professor, I can't remember his name. Sorry, said that it was not Odinism or any type of cult worshiping or any type of group that would have conducted the crime. And then also we reached out to a private company that sent to a retired Pennsylvania state trooper and a retired psychologist or psychiatrist. I can't remember which. It might be both. I don't know. And I can't remember their names. I know the retired trooper was it Pozzapoli? And they teach class for a group on crime scene analysis and hate crimes. And they were up here for a week and they reviewed the data as well and said it was not a hate crime. FBI BAU looked at it. I don't remember if they determined one way or the other. We also had U.S. Marshals BAU, Behavioral Analyst Unit, look at it, and she said it was not related to a hate crime. And it was, her term was, it was an undoing. Laid the sticks not to touch the body, put the other stick over to block the wounds that Richard Allen created on the girls. It was called an undoing. There was no signs of any type of hate crime. So those are the ones, the experts, that told us that it was not.
So let's talk about the Purdue professor. What's his or her name?
We'd have to refer to the reports. I didn't get a chance to look at that.
Okay. Can you tell me the timing of when that occurred?
That was early on in the investigation. Yeah.
Did you ever talk to the professor?
I did not. I talked to Sergeant Steve Buckley, who was in communication with them.
Did you ever take a look on your own to see what this professor's qualifications were?
No, but I know Steve did, and I don't know what his background was, but he studies that Norwegian Nordic culture that Odidism is.
So you've never spoken with that person directly?
I have not, no. Okay.
Let's
I think
talk
it's the part to stop, just real quick. Sorry.
Yep.
So going we'll go back up a little bit. So couple things here. One is, they did look at this angle, right? But we also, Holeman was going, I guess he delegated this to, Steve Buckley, but he doesn't know, the professor's name. So he claims here. And then we see this undoing, right? And this is, I think, something that possibly the appellate team can do, because I believe they opened the door in trial, because Holeman does slip this out and says that it was an undoing. So I don't understand why the state can have a theory out there as to why those sticks were placed, but the defense has no, they're not allowed to counter that or open that door. Another thing here too is the fact that we have all these different units going down and different agencies looking at the same thing. So to me, and I think, criminality brought up a good point here too. It's like, if, they were satisfied with this Purdue professor, why are all these other units and agencies still looking at the same thing? So that's pretty much what I have on that. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, they're asking all this Odin stuff, yet they didn't bother collecting the branches. Like, imagine them thinking that we just take these branches off these girls and just not even, even if they didn't think it was Odin, like they were on the girls, the guy, whoever did it, touched them. Like, how could they just leave them out there?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Right. Excellent point.
I'm just checking in with the chat. ACV
Ooh.
says it does seem like the investigation presented in trial was a cover story for an actual investigation, as if they fabricated an investigation to avoid revealing the actual investigation. He also
Yeah.
says Reese was also incarcerated the entire time. He didn't have access to all this info and rumors that we do.
Well, hey, maybe Reese's a clairvoyant and just can read the future, whatever that is. So what's that, psychic? And he knew that the ME was going to bonk his head and remember about the box cutter on his third report.
So ACB has asked what your theory of the actual crime is.
Shibby's? Mine?
Yes, yours.
Ooh. I've got a few different ones, but what sounds most plausible to me, and don't get me wrong, this is just, I'm talking about things. The one I like most is that BG kind of came at them, whoever that is. I won't start using all those other names, but the person that was near the mailbox with the baggy eyes, I won't mention any names. I think they kind of captured them there at the top, kind of, from each end, and got them down the hill to another person, either a third and fourth person in a car at the bottom of the hill on the Weber's Drive, drove them away, like, put their phones in Faraday bags, block the signals, whatever, turn them off. Because you can put them in chip bags, and all these criminals know that, right? You know that?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can put them in those chip bags, a couple of them, and block
Or
the
like tin
signal.
foil or aluminum foil.
Right,
Too.
and all of them would be wise to that, I think, and took them off somewhere and brought them back in down through the cemetery. That's my number one. I've always thought. Like I could picture, and I know Libby was a bit bigger, but I mean, you know, uh, Holder, if he was the type, he was, on meth especially. I think any man could put them over their shoulder and walk down that hill when you're all hopped up on meth, especially. I could, I think.
So just to explore that a little bit more. So you think that they were moved, right? But what would be what do you think the intent behind taking them out of the area and then returning them in the area? Like what do
Wow.
you
To maybe go to a shack or a barn or someplace where they were all, I've seen those little ceremonies. Maybe they did that. Or, I'm not even sure if it makes sense. Or they used a tree to hang them upside down there. Or, I know, maybe they took them away and brought them back earlier through the cemetery, like, after the search was called off around 12 or 1 to do their ceremony, because the 14th would have been the ideal time, right?
Why the 14th?
Because it's a symbolic. February 14th, it's a symbolic date for them.
For Odinus, or
Yeah,
just
I
because it's Valentine's Day?
I believe I've heard, ask like ACV or somebody smarter. I'm sure the 14th is more than just Valentine's Day. If you go way back in history.
Like, isn't it based on Saint Valentine?
Right. I don't want to say anything wrong, but anyways,
No.
or if they did it on the 13th at midnight, like what time was the search called off? Which is ridiculous enough.
I think it was like around 1 or 2. I mean, like there was people still searching till 1 or 2. Like I think that the search got called off around 12:30 or something like that, but there were still people there up to like 2 o'clock, I think.
Right. Like to think that they used that tree and kind of were all, they would obviously have like those, because I've seen on YouTube how they do those ceremonies, and they're all holding fire, like those fire sticks and stuff. And so I can't see them doing that in the open like that unless the whole town's in on it. Like I'm not even sure. So I think that's why they did that elsewhere, because it would be so obvious if people are holding those torches and stuff in that little valley. Anybody walking on the bridge, you would see that easily, especially a circle of flames, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, why is there flames in a circle?" Like you may not see the guys in their brown robes or whatever, if that even happened.
Interesting.
Oh, what do you think? Am I like sounding ridiculous? Or?
No, I think, you know, that I don't like ridicule people's theory. You know, everyone's entitled to their own theories and everything. And I know a
Well,
lot of us put in a lot of time, you know, researching things, you know, prior to Richard Allen's arrest and even after it. Um, the issue that I have with that, I could totally see them being relocated, right? And going through the you know, to block the cell phone and all that, right? The issue that I have with that, and this is just me, not ridiculing or anything. It's just like the terrain and like what would be the symbolism to that area. Like, what is that a I mean, is that a sacred, like the exact location? Is that sacred? Because there's like, you know, that there's a lot of, you know, like that area goes, you know, pretty far when it comes to, you know, Deer Creek and the different trees and all that. There's a lot of, you know, trees around that area. So like I'm thinking there might have been like a more convenient place to leave them in that theory. I just think it's like real risky. I don't know.
right.
That's
If you think about it, okay, so if we do believe the old stuff, then yeah, those treaties in that area is a, you know, it might have history and symbolism, but also if it's somebody who's not, you know how they do there's posing and what's the other type? Posing is fantasy, and there's two types
like
of crime scenes. I
signatures,
mean,
you know, staging,
oh,
staging,
yes,
and
yes. State. That's it. One sec. Staging is the misdirection, and posing would be actual fantasy. So if we think it's real, then they brought them back to pose them, or they brought them back to stage them and misdirect them because the person has nothing to do with Odin, and they wanted to kind of pin it on them and throw them off.
I could totally buy into the Ron Logan theory as far as like somebody having an issue with Ron Logan and wanting to set up Ron Logan.
Ooh,
I could totally see that. I just
hey,
think, yeah,
like the
um,
McCains, they wanted that property for the bridge heritage, the trail heritage.
yeah, I could see that, but like I don't see like both of them occurring, like in my mind at least. Like, but that's just me.
No, no, that
It's
makes sense.
possible. Like anything's possible because like no one investigated. It seems like. So yeah.
Well, that's the one thing I've never thought about because Ron Logan was a pretty savvy guy. He wouldn't put, no criminal would put bodies on their own property if they didn't have an excavator to bury them or put them under a cement patio, you know?
Hmm.
So unless Ron Logan was there and he got passed out, there's no way he would leave them on his own property, in my opinion.
Okay, and then so going. Thank you for providing your perspective and good question, ACB. So just going back to my notes here as far as connections between other persons of interest. Um, Holman does do, you know, in his testimony, um, he pretty much, you know, like I said, just stuck with one person. So they asked him, "Is it still your opinion that Richard Allen committed the murders?" Oops, sorry. Okay, yes. Based on everything we have today, I believe Richard Allen acted alone in the commission of these red wrongs. Did you ever find evidence that anyone was present on the bridge or in the woods with him at that time? No, we did not. There was no evidence anyone else was there. Well, here's the thing I have with that is like you have the cell phone data that does place, you know, somebody, I think what, Ron Logan outside of his house, around what, 10:30. So I don't know what at that time really means, but there was other cell phones in that area. And it just like kind of really speaks to also, we have all these alternative suspects throughout this entire investigation, but like as the example I had previously shown, it's like, they just stop following up on certain angles because somebody doesn't want to cooperate or whatnot. So there's a lot of bias revealing statements going on in this deposition. So like an example, Richard Allen did this. I think we've already found the truth. And that's when they're talking about the forensic review of certain things. So it's like really an unguarded assertion of guilt. When we're talking about like the DNA is a good example of that. Like we have DNA here that does not match Richard Allen. I'm not sure how far they got as far as, how many markers or whatnot. But so there was contaminated DNA found on Liberty German. And then there was also some contaminated DNA, or I don't know if this is actually contaminated, but there was some DNA found on Liberty German's sweatshirt in which Abby was wearing. And that was a male DNA. So they knew it is, a male. But they didn't test it. And, even with that, it's just like he's, within this deposition, he does discuss DNA limitations, like I said, but it's like at a different context. So like mixed low-level male DNA that couldn't yield a profile. And then they're waiting for, future tech improvements. And I can understand that, but I think he said like 5-6 years out. I don't know if that's true. Because I know that like within the West Memphis 3 case, they had, they're testing DNA right now that they couldn't, test before. That, because additional technology came out. Another example, like the ballistic evidence. So that's discussed in this deposition. And Holeman says, without a doubt, belief in the ballistics link. And then he did no independent check in the short window of limited knowledge of tool specifics. So,
Well, I have a thought on that. One sec. The ballistics, like I say every time, every page has a disclaimer on it saying subjective opinion. So that's all Oberg's, like she takes a scientific look at it, but applies her subjective opinion to it. So how can she be wrong? You can't question her. Everything is her opinion. So she can't
not
be
only
wrong
that,
about
like
it.
just like when somebody says they're always right, like that is like not possible. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no.
You're
That's
not
different.
100%. Like that's
That
crazy.
that's different though. In ballistics, that's the thing. It says it's a subjective opinion. So all she's got to do is say it's my opinion. This is a match,
Mm-hmm. I see
right?
what you're saying. Yeah.
And it's on every page. Go look at it. There's an asterisk and a disclaimer saying subjective opinion and like flashing lights almost. No wonder she can't be wrong.
Right. And they don't even do that test anymore in the ISP lab. I think they outsource it now.
No,
But yeah, like
I'd feel better if they put it into a little machine, like a vending machine, and had AI look at it, compare. That would be probably more accurate than Oberg.
okay. Good point. So could you please go to page 41? And I'm going to
Yep.
check it with the chat.
Okay. 41. One sec. You talk.
I'm reading right now. So ACV says, Shibby, you are a funny guy, but clearly you know many things. Unindicted says, even if it wasn't real ritualistic, who with that knowledge staged it that way? That is a good point.
Oh, can I tell AC one thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely like I'm a smart guy. I have almost 7 years of high school experience. Or wait, it was 6 years and 2 summers.
So ACV asks you, what is the motive in your theory? I think we covered that, right? Like it was like a ritual, right?
Well, no. Well, I mean, I can't really say it, but can I say how I really feel? Because I don't see. We obviously think it was a man, right, or men. I don't see any men doing this to female, young females, and it not being much more sexual than. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Much more sexual than it was, and I believe that it was way more sexual, and that they just to protect, to protect their memory, aren't telling people about it, in my opinion. Because who would go through all this and have them naked girls and not be sitting there doing a whole bunch of stuff? Not to be weird or rude
No, no, it's a good point.
or disrespectful. I'm very sorry, but in my opinion, you know, there was a lot more sex involved in this that they just didn't tell us because maybe
Yeah,
the
I mean,
families
like
did.
just the mere fact that they had the girls undressed, that's the sexual assault, you know.
Right, right. But
Um,
I think they're holding back because um, I'm just a guess because like their memories, they were murdered. That's already a bad memory. They don't want to make their legacy or memories worse by saying what really happened. Possibly. That's just a thought I have sometimes.
okay. Owl on the prowl says, in my opinion, I feel whoever put those sticks on the girls were trying to divert the investigation.
Yeah,
I think
staging, definitely.
I don't see it. I think the placement of the sticks were symbolic to the person. I don't believe that this was covering, an act to cover like that. That's just ridiculous to me. I do think like the sticks, like I said, meant something, or it was like an undoing. I do think that, like as far as like over the neck area, I do think that, and I think that like that is why the ISP and Doug Carter kept on, kind of playing that angle of like remorse, with his different rhetoric as far as like, what would your family think? And then making references to the shack, um, just things like that, like trying to play into the moral compass. Uh,
Yeah, because wasn't The Shack, it was very religious, right? The movie?
yeah,
Or is that what you're talking about?
yeah, yes.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think
And
like
also,
looking at the photos, I think Abby, her sticks were more of a cross, and she was moved to her side, and then the sticks kind of moved over with her to the side. That's just me. That's how I interpret it.
mhm. Okay, I
Um,
have a few opinions here. And with what ACV said, he says, Shibby, could staging have been done by searchers who tried to protect dignity of victims, but inadvertently ruin investigation? Now, yeah, that's what I've always believed too. When the searchers got there, A, they could have did that to make it, to stage it themselves and throw off. Or when they got there, maybe those sticks were more indicative of Odin, and they moved them a bit because that's how we see them now, right? In the photos, we don't know how they walked up there because I mean, what if they checked the girls and knocked a bunch of sticks over?
that's true. So they did say that, I think, in this deposition, it was the group of six on the north side of the creek, so which was referred to the Mears side. And then Holeman didn't know how many searchers were on the Weber's side. So there was like six people in that area. And then if you look at the helicopter footage, I can see some people like walking around in that area. So it's very possible that it got contaminated. And we know that there was cross-contamination, even from like the state side. I don't know if it was a lab tech or whatnot, but there was some cross-contamination at the very least
Well,
there.
not only was there that, yeah, there was that DNA, but also that Kelly guy on the news or whatever that interview said that the guys were urinating and throwing cigarette butts and spitting them around the area after they found them. The other police officers, like imagine them all out there pissing on a tree and stuff. There's
Yeah, and I
DNA
agree
all over
with
there.
like ACV here. He says like if LEOs were involved in the screw ups or cover ups early on, LEOs now will cover that up because of the thin blue line. I totally agree with that. I think that
Yeah.
I am suspicious with some of the things that came out as far as the investigation goes, but I mean I think that the cover up is the incompetence. And I really wish like the defense played that more during trial, is like, you know, attack the timeline and then attack the investigation.
Well, it's useless to because no matter what, I mean, Rosie almost got removed in a contempt hearing from from Andy's mistake of an email to that Brandon guy, and Rosie almost got removed. Yet the state, if they were held to account, they would all be fired, probably in jail themselves because of how many mistakes. So it's like the defense is held to account for the tiniest thing, but the state wasn't held to any account.
True. Yeah, like I've just spoken about that too. It's like part of, accountability is transparency. And it's like it's hard to achieve that, like I'm fearful, like maybe not this exact crime, right? But like that I feel like that they didn't learn, you know what I mean? They say they learned, but like saying it out loud and being transparent about it is a big step in that accountability. And then from the
Well,
accountability, it's like like let's rewrite our processes. Let's evaluate how we handle investigations. And I totally get it. There was a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I think it was a big issue of the, delegating certain tasks, and they were meeting every day at some point. So like that's where you get the updates and you find out what everyone's working on. And based on this deposition, and I encourage anyone, whether you believe Richard Allen is guilty or innocent, to go through this deposition, because it's really telling as to the investigation as a whole, and the fact that Jerry Holeman, either the two things that are possible to me, like one is he knows the answers to these questions and he's not being truthful, or two, and I don't know which one's worse, but two would be that he was not leading this investigation, and he's been referred to as the lead investigator. So I would think that he would know a lot of the answers to these questions. Sorry,
well,
I got
for me,
soapbox.
no, it's I think it's pretty easy for the state to be transparent when they know they're not going to be held to account. I mean, are we to believe that if the defense had two main people lying in sworn affidavits, like Liggett did in the PCA and like Holman did in the um, about the Odin report, they both lied in their sworn affidavits. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what happened to them? Gull used it as evidence.
Yep.
They didn't get disciplined, and that they shouldn't have been able to use that, in my opinion, because Sarah never said blue coat. Liggett saw the video and applied blue coat because BG must have had a blue coat, and she said muddy, and he looked like he was in a fight, and Liggett inferred there must have been blood on him because he was in a fight, or he looked disheveled, or whatever he said. Which
And then we
was
have
two things.
Holman reaffirming that, right? In this deposition too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like he says that there wasn't really a change or a deviation from her, original statement, and that's not true.
Right. And just like the ME, adding the box cutter on whatever the third report. I mean, they're just going along and adding things and making things up. And Weber first said to the FBI agent that it was 3:30 p.m. in probably a different car in a Subaru, and then all of a sudden it's 2:30 in a white van. Like,
Oh, no, it gets better than that, actually.
right?
How about we wrap up this whole tool mark that's what's her name again? Osberg? I'm probably about.
Oberg,
Thank you.
Melissa Oberg.
Yeah. So that they go into this right now. So were you able to find page 41?
Yep, I'm there now. Yes.
Okay. Could you please start at line 11?
Okay. Okay. Let's. That was I said okay, and then I looked, and the first word is okay. Let's talk about took mark evidence. Let's
Okay.
talk about tool mark evidence. Oh, that's one thing I'd like to add. It's very weird um, reading their bad grammar and punctuation. It's like throwing me off. So,
Yeah.
anyways, so let's talk about tool mark evidence. You mentioned that a minute ago. So you're aware that this unspent cartridge was recovered from the scene, right?
Yes.
In your opinion, what is the significance of that cartridge to this crime?
Well, it had 3 extraction marks on it. And I don't recall the first time we met with the lab, but it was early on. I'm going to say within the first 6 months. And they talked about all the DNA that you and I just talked about and other things. But one of the things that stands out in my mind was the firearms tool mark extraction report. I don't know what her exact title is. Oops. But she was at the meeting and she said that those marks were made by more than likely a Sig Sauer or possibly a Smith and Wesson. But she was leaning towards Sig. And she said that if we were to find the weapon, the gun that extracted that round, she would be able to, without a doubt, match that up.
Without a doubt.
That's what she said.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. You throw me out there. Those were her words.
Well, those are my words, but that's what
Well, they're pretty strong words.
yeah,
You can see me taking notes right now.
yeah. She said that she would be able to match that up.
Unequivocally, whatever word you want to use. 100%.
She said that the marks were so good that she would be able to. And there were multiple that she would be able to. And that was early on. So anytime that we got a tip on somebody or anything like that, if we asked them if they had a weapon and what kind of weapon, and if anybody that had a 40 caliber, we sent it down for testing. I don't know how many, but I know I know there was multiple before Richard Allen's.
Was this person Melissa Oberg?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if there was somebody else involved other than her.
No, there was other. Her supervisor was there too, and I know. And then through her training us on tool mark evidence, another thing that stands out in my mind is she compared it to a paternity test. She said there's more error in a paternity test than there is in the test that she does to compare extraction marks. And that was pretty powerful to me.
You have a lot of working knowledge of paternity tests.
I do not know. I just know
Okay.
that a lot of times people that I deal with, have to have those paternity tests and they say they're like 99.9% the father. That's pretty accurate. So in my mind, paternity tests are pretty accurate. So what I'm saying is if she's comparing her test, then I think
So she, So she was comparing it to a different type of test. One second. I'm trying not to laugh. Sorry.
I know.
That's ridiculous what I'm about to read. So she was comparing it to a different type of test that you don't have any knowledge of. You just heard that they're accurate.
She compared it to others too, but yeah.
Okay. After you received these laboratory results from Miss Oberg, what, if any, concerns were raised amongst law enforcement about the reliability of them?
We had unified command. We had meetings. We spoke with her. She scheduled a meeting with her. Oh, excuse me. We scheduled a meeting with her, and I don't think there was any concerns.
Nobody was concerned about the accuracy
Not to my knowledge.
or the value of those findings.
If there was any concerns after she met with us and explained everything, there was no concerns about the accuracy of her testing.
Was there ever any discussion about seeking out the opinion of an independent analyst?
Not to my knowledge.
You're working with somebody who works for you, right?
Absolutely.
But there was never any discussion about, hey, let's go get somebody and just get a second opinion here before we jump on this.
No.
Was there anyone amongst Unified Command, which sounds like it was kind of morphed a little bit? There was some changes in the officers from what I understand over time. But were any of those people that were involved in this circumstance concerned about the reliability of those results?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Who was all there when this meeting occurred, when you met with Miss Oberg, if you recall?
Prosecutor McClellan, myself, Tony Liggett, Jay. No, I don't think Jay made it. Brian Harshman, state trooper. I believe we had U.S. Marshals helping at that time, one or two of those. And actually, Dave Vito was on, he wasn't there, but he was on, I had a conference call so he could hear. Couldn't see, but he can hear. And I feel like there was more than that, but I'm pretty sure Steve Mullen.
So this was Unified Command, maybe even plus a few extras?
Plus a few that were helping with the investigation.
Was there any discussion with Miss Oberg about the divide that exists in I'll call it the scientific community, about these tool mark analysis and results?
I believe she talked about, obviously, there's people that don't agree with certain scientific testing. She touched on it, but I don't recall what the group is or this or that.
Do you remember what she told you?
The only thing I can remember, honestly, is that there was a group, and obviously defense attorneys believe that group that it's not accurate. But she used information and experience and training that she has to make me believe that it is accurate.
So there was some discussion about the theory behind the discipline,
Sure.
above and beyond just the results that were found.
Yes.
Hey, this is what we're going to be dealing with from the other side.
Well, yeah, any investigation, we know you're gonna try to suppress evidence and challenge our findings. Yes, we know that.
Do you remember her saying anything to you about judges that have found that this stuff is not reliable?
No, I do not.
You don't remember discussion about any of that.
If there was, I don't remember.
Is there any ongoing tool mark, I'll say tool mark testing or analysis in this case?
Not to my knowledge.
Other than your opinion regarding this cartridge in this gun, is there any other forensic tool mark evidence that connects Richard Allen with that crime scene or this crime? I should be asking more broadly.
Any forensic technology?
Any kind of tool mark result that connect him, other than this cartridge and this gun that you are talking about?
No.
Let's talk about cell phones. I'm assuming you did recover some cell phones from Richard Allen's home,
Yes.
and those were all pursuant to the search warrant.
Yes.
Were data dumps conducted with those?
Yes.
Was there data generated from those data dumps?
Yes.
How many phones do you remember, if you do, that there were actual dumps from?
The only thing I remember about the phones is he had a lot of phones, but he admitted that the phone that he had back on February 13th, 14th timeframe that we're talking, he did not have that phone anymore. But I do know that we collected computers, cell phones. I'd have to refer to the reports on how many. And I didn't review the reports that came back. Somebody else did, but I know we sent them to our DMRS, or our forensic analysis for cell phones. And I know that they conducted and analyzed the phones. Sorry.
Data dumps and then analyzed the results?
Yes, sir.
Was there any, were there any results that connected Richard Allen with the crime scene?
Not to my knowledge.
Were there any results that connected Richard Allen with either one of those girls?
No.
Who is your DMRS? I think you said. Who are we talking about? Who is that person?
I think they took them up north, so it would have been Scott Kruger.
Lowell?
He is out of Lowell, but he works for GRIT. I don't know if that's pronounced grit, but which is in Crown Point, which is a task force. But that's where their office is, and that's where all their tools and computers and everything are.
The gentleman that's over in Lafayette, that's part of the high-tech crime unit that they have. Did they do anything in this case?
Not to my knowledge.
I can't remember his name.
Sean Leshney,
Exactly.
is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
No.
So I'm assuming you also were able to dump some data from either one of or both of the girls' phones
Just Liberty. Abby did not have a phone.
at all.
She was not allowed to have a phone.
So you just believe that generally speaking, she did not have a phone of her own
Yes.
at any point before this or around the time that this happened?
Yes.
Okay. So Libby's phone, when you dumped the data, was there any data on there that connected her in any way with Richard Allen?
Not to my knowledge.
Have you discovered any data on any phones in this investigation that connected Richard Allen with Keegan Klein?
No.
What about Richard Allen with Ron Logan? Same question, basically.
No.
What about Richard Allen with any other person of interest or suspect in this case?
I'm not sure that that's been conducted as far as, I mean, you call them person of interest or suspects, but anybody that we receive a tip on doesn't necessarily mean they're a suspect or person of interest.
Somebody you thought might have been involved in this crime?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Let's talk about geoforensics, okay? Now, we are getting outside of my realm of expertise.
Me too.
Tell me, do you know what that means generally?
Sorry. I know. You're talking about putting up geofences.
Yeah,
Generally, yes.
okay. Was gathering that information in this case, was it helpful to your investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Did any of the information that you gathered from this geofencing, from these efforts, connect Richard Allen with these crimes?
He was in the geofence, but more than likely his phone was at his residence, it appears. He said he was using his phone, but we have no evidence that that occurred.
You also don't have the phone that he was using, right?
Correct.
What you are saying is that with the geofence itself, you were able to detect the existence of his phone?
It was later on in the evening. I don't know the time. I don't want to give you inaccurate information.
but not necessarily the exact location of it.
Correct.
You just know it was within a certain range.
Right.
And within that range was, I assume, most of the city of Delphi and his home.
Yeah, the crime scene, his home. Yeah, pretty close.
Wasn't overly helpful, basically.
No, no, it was not.
Okay, let's talk about social media activity, okay? Do you believe that your law enforcement team conducted I'll call it an exhaustive search regarding the social media activities regarding the girls at or near the time this crime was committed?
Yes.
And have you found any information in the course of that part of the investigation that connects Richard Allen to the girls?
No.
What about any information that would connect Richard Allen to the crime scene, social media?
Social media only. No.
Any social media activity that connects Richard Allen to any suspect in this case?
Not to my knowledge. No.
Just with respect to, let's talk about Richard Allen's social media activity specifically. Okay. Did you have a chance to conduct an investigation into that activity?
Me personally, no, but it has been done. Yes.
And from what you know or from your knowledge, was there any information that was discovered in the course of that investigation that was of interest to your team?
Through social media?
Yeah.
No.
Have you discovered, I say you, has your team discovered any social media activity in this case that you believe is connected in any way to this crime?
Yes.
I think I already know what you're going to say, but just tell me, just tell me just to make sure. What is it?
Are you talking about social media? Anybody?
Any social media activity you think was connected with this crime?
So Anthony Schatz is a fictitious profile used by Kagan Klein, and he was somebody using Anthony Schatz was communicating with the girl
Okay.
that day, that morning.
It's your opinion that those communications were connected with the act that occurred, the criminal act?
I believe that those communications were why the girls went to the bridge,
Okay.
which led to the homicide. Yes.
Okay. But do you think that the homicide was just coincidental?
I mean, it could be. I mean, obviously,
You don't know?
stranger things have happened. No, I do not know.
If that's your answer, that's your answer. You don't know. You
Correct.
don't know? Sorry.
That's
Are you
okay. Correct.
are, are you still investigating that actively? I think you told me earlier you were.
As far as
Well, just the nature. I can hear it. I can feel his snark, but I'm
yeah.
sorry. Well, just the nature and the connection between those social media communications and Rick Allen.
Yes.
Is that basically encompassed by what you mentioned to me earlier, interviewing people?
Can you?
Yeah. Let me withdraw that question. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Let me withdraw that question.
Yes.
Tell me, what are you doing actively to try and connect the dots between those social media communications and Richard Allen?
Okay. Yeah. What I said earlier, as far as still searching phone data, still interviewing people to see if there was any connection with Kagan Klein. And it should be noted too, I forgot earlier when you asked the question about if we thought Kagan could be possibly associated with Richard Allen. One of his first statements when he with his other attorney, he said that he accused his dad of doing it, but he in his first statement said it was my dad and a friend of his in Delphi, and that as close as we've gotten so far with with any type of connection, anybody with Keegan Klein or his father, Jerry Anthony Klein.
Tony didn't, Tony Klein didn't acknowledge any connection with Richard Allen?
No, he has not.
He's denied that connection?
I believe he has denied it. Yes.
let's talk about computer. Uh, let's talk about computers. You rounded up some computers from Mr. Allen's residence, or at least some hard drives. Do you generally, are you aware of that?
Mr. McClellan, this is what he says. Is this a good time? Oh, excuse me. Is this a good place to take a break, or are you going to?
What?
Is this a good place to take a break?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I need to use the restroom real quick. I kind of wanted to stop at a topic break here.
That's fine.
Okay. I think that's a good stopping point as
Sure,
well.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to catch up with the chat here.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some action in chat. I was trying not to read it.
I see.
Mm. Yeah, Polly Walnut said Sarah Carbaugh was adamant in her trial testimony. What she said, though. I mean, adamant when? Her third time or the first two? She was asked Polly, was she adamant about him wearing a blue coat and covered in blood the first few times? Because she never said that.
Okay, let's be nice, everyone. Like seriously,
Well,
we're all
I mean,
adults here. I'm just
okay,
like let's just not. I'm not talking to you specifically. I'm just looking at the chat and catching up, and let's be nice. That's all.
that's true. That was a long time ago. I scrolled back to get that, so we
Yeah, I
might
had
not
to go
even
like
be here
15
now.
minutes. Sorry, everyone.
Look at everything's calmed down, and I'm stirring shit up. Okay,
Yeah,
forget I
Carl,
even said that.
everything's all calm because Polly
Forget
says
I
he's
even
not
said that.
harassing Carol. So he did
Mm.
clarify that. Then let's see.
Ooh, can I say one thing? After this, everyone, somebody could drop a link to Dave's channel because he'll be on soon, I'm
Oh
guessing.
yeah, that's
Powell.
right.
So this will be a good segue into him. Yeah, it's 1:45 in East my time now. So Dave usually goes on around 1 a.m. So in 15 or 20 minutes, if you're interested, or if somebody gets his link ready to drop, or just find at Owl and the Prowl because it's a lot of fun. But whatever you want, you tell me. I can stay here or you can hang up.
No, I'm reading that. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the chat. Sorry about that. Let's see.
Yeah, it's probably over with now. I would just
Yeah,
forget about it.
thing is no, I'll put his link in just a second. So thank you for that. So Zeke here says ultimately, those who believe RA is guilty, those who believe he's innocent, everyone in between should agree with my theory. It's the variables I seek answers for apart from the obvious. A fair
Trial.
RA. There's still a bit of info being held back. I believe once that's shared, it will all work itself out. I agree with you there. Like
Right. Zeke, I agree with you too. If whatever you feel about anything, if you think losing all that evidence and not allowing all the evidence and stuff that happened at trial was fair, and him being in solitary for 395 days and being drugged as an innocent man, an innocent citizen on pretrial detainment in a prison, if you think that's fair, well, I mean, I guess you see it differently than your Constitution says it does.
That's a good point. That's always
So,
like troubled me, you know.
right. Like, how can you believe confessions that were coerced? Or, I mean, 395 days. The United Nations and IDOC policy is 15 or 30 days, and the United Nations and the Geneva Convention and the rest of the world say anything more than 30 days is unreasonable. And he was in there for 395. And then you got confessions from a man sitting there after 3 months, not talking to nobody. They send in this woman, probably all freshly showered and wearing perfume and with her breasts out, you know. I mean, I'd confess too. I'd say, hey, yeah, I did it. Stay and talk to me. You know, like I'm starved for attention. These people are drugging me. I'm going nuts.
Okay, so we
Anyways,
covered the DNA. So that was good. Okay, so one thing I want to point out, and then we'll wrap it up. I just have like a couple more points here. So the DNA. So Holeman says time and resources, no family female suspects line is not from. So that was not mentioned in the deposition, but it is in the trial transcript, and I think we know why, because they did test that hair. And then Holeman says, yeah, we choose not to because at the time and resources. At that time, we had no family female suspects, so we chose not to test it at that time. So that was in trial, more specifically on October 26, 2024. And that was stated on examination. And then in the August 10th, 2023 deposition, Holeman does discuss DNA limitations, but it's different contexts. Mixed/low-level male DNA that couldn't yield a profile without consuming the sample, and the lab watching for future tech improves. They're waiting for future tech improvements, no time, resource, rationale there. So like that is a little bit that stands out as contrary, I guess, in some means. So again, like with the ballistic, just like a summary with what we just read with the ballistic evidence, Holeman says without a doubt, like that is his stance. Without a doubt, and also does that same rhetoric within the trial transcript. So without a doubt was mentioned in the direct, and in the cross, didn't know CMS specifics, no independent exam done in 2 weeks span before the second interview. Those are my notes. And the implication, confidence, outpacing method detail can be framed as investigative tunnel vision. In the October 26, 2024 trial on direct, says he believed the unspent cartridge cycled through Allen's gun had a certificate of analysis and confronted Allen with that repeatedly. And we did, I think that is in, the interview, or the, what do you call it? The interrogation. In October 26th trial cross, he concedes he didn't know about specific tool usage, for example, CMS, and did not send the casing to an independent examiner in 2 weeks between 1013 and 1026. So that's interesting. So it did seem like they really pushed him there, to get out that like, hey, we didn't go to an independent exam. After the initial results came out on because what he had. So the results came back on October 13th, right? And then Richard Allen is arrested or detained, or however you want to call it, on the 26th. So 13 days later, they didn't go out and seek, a second opinion on that.
well, they didn't need to wait for that anyways because he said he was on the bridge. They had plenty enough to arrest him already, no?
No, I don't think they. I don't know. I actually can go both ways on that.
Well,
I do think that they did think that they were going to arrest him, and they just wanted him to not be able to explain away, like no one else had my gun, type of.
Yeah,
situation.
that was bullshit. Yeah, because I didn't lend my gun to nobody else. It had to be me. They're trying to. Yeah, it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Ooh, can I interrupt 1 second?
Absolutely.
Mustang had two insightful comments. She says, Peggy, thanks for having a decent guest on. Oh, and her other one was, she had another one saying, yeah, Shibby and Mark are good guests in my opinion. Great comments, Mustang. I agree.
Mhm. Hey, Mark. Sorry I didn't say hi to you before.
And John Paul just came in. Hey, JP.
Woo woo.
John Paul calls me Shaboner, and I call him JP. And he's
Yeah.
calling me Shaboyski now. But hey, you can call me anything if you're smiling. I'm good.
Yep. And I did thank you, JP. I did use one of your songs. I don't know if you noticed on one of my YouTube shorts about the cell phone data. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to link it. I would have given you credit for that, but shorts, there's just it's harder to link stuff than regular videos. But I appreciate you allowing me to use it. It's an awesome song. So thank you for that.
JP also made me something too.
Oh,
He
he
made
did?
me a photo. Yeah, he made me a photo. It's a real photo he took of me with his camera on his BMW. I was sitting on the hood, missing a foot, and I look about 3'3".
And
Like,
it says a day without Holeman is like a month in the country, as they say.
right,
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are covering it, and I'm glad that people are, going through these transcripts because I
right.
think to me, I really like the pre-trial aspect of trials better than the actual trial. That's where all the meat and potatoes are. You get to
Hmm.
see stuff before it's ruled
Well, you can
inadmissible.
see how one-sided it was, in my opinion. How you know Rosie almost gets removed for an email he had nothing to do with, and Holman and Liggett and all them are sitting there lying away on sworn affidavits, and nothing happens to them. And Rosie almost got fired. So if Rosie's accountable for Baldwin, then why isn't Nick accountable for his guys, the state? They have all the power, all the resources, all the you know laws on their favor. Why aren't they held to account for anything? Losing the interviews and everything you can think of, calling the search off as if, why would you call a search off? Because it was chilly. There was getting dark. There was a hill. So you could call a search off when two young girls are missing and you know
Yeah.
where they were last, and the
You know,
dogs. And I mean, it's just there's like 30 different things that not one person was held to account for. Yet Rosie's almost removed from the case for Andrew Baldwin sending an email to the wrong person.
yeah.
That's like more than a double standard. That's bullshit, in my opinion. I think, it should be applied equally.
And to me too, once this whole, Odin thing got in this mix, and we could see this in this deposition where, it's clear that Holman was caught off guard, and a lot of focus was placed, and I know we didn't cover that all in this live stream, but where I'm going with this is that shortly after this happened, right, that's where the leak of discovery starts flowing out. So I find that interesting. um
You
then,
sure?
and this also does, I think I need to do another live stream, like I said, just to talk
Yes,
about the discovery flow, and when they start talking about squares and circles and all
yes,
that, because
yeah,
that does need to be talked about as much as it can be, in my opinion. So
yeah. You probably don't want to start all that because we're going to be talking for hours because I can go.
yeah, and Dave, yeah, Owl Live is coming. We got the link in there. I'm gonna put it in here one more time.
We'll do like, hey, we'll do like George Costanza. Costanza. You leave on a high note because, just like before I start screwing stuff, it's probably best if we just call it a day and leave on a
Yeah,
high note.
absolutely. Thank you
You know,
so much for joining. I really
it
appreciate it.
was my
Um,
pleasure.
it was great. So And thank you
I,
to the chat and the mods. And I'm happy to see that things have calmed down now. But I do appreciate each and every one of you that came in and joined the discussion. There's some great comments in here. I'm sorry I wasn't able to highlight all of them. So thank you once again. And I hope everyone has a fabulous weekend or Sunday. And go Bears.
yeah, and go Jays, Toronto Blue Jays from up here. I'm like 15 minutes from downtown Toronto, so
Awesome.
so go Blue Jays.
There you go. When's the last time
All
they were
right.
in the World Series or the finals?
Oh, it was in the 90. It was like in 1990, 92 or 93, really early 90s. They won the World Series.
That's not that long ago. I mean, like coming from a Cubs fan.
Right.
Didn't y'all like move to like didn't you have to go to like Puerto Rico for a season or something?
I have no idea. Once you watch NHL hockey, I can't watch anything else. Baseball puts me to sleep, honestly. Maybe these playoffs, if Saturday night and I'm drinking with people and having fun and seeing them get excited, but for me, baseball puts me to sleep. I'm totally NHL hockey is the only thing for me.
You know what? But there's nothing like playoff hockey. That's
Well, I like this first season, even preseason. It's amazing for me. And in the summertime, and they have the Olympics and the World Cup and the World Juniors. I watch it all. Once you've seen NHL level hockey, if you can't watch anything else because it it bothers me that in hockey we could bare knuckle fight with razor blades on ice strapped to our feet, and in basketball you got those huge guys like LeBron James and them. They bounce into each other and they're all like, ugh,
Yeah,
foul.
it never used to be like that. I miss old basketball.
Right. It should be a little more physical, I believe, because those guys are the NBA guys are the hugest, most trained athletes in the world, and they can't bump into each other. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Wow,
October is a fantastic month. Like one of my favorite when it comes to sports. You got, baseball,
it's a good time.
Playoffs, you got hockey starting, you got football, you got
Halloween,
Mhm.
trick or treating, candy.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, Dave just put up. Can you tell your mod that Dave just put up his link for he's starting in say half an hour. So if they want to drop it in there, come to Owls, and I mean we'll probably don't even talk Delphi, so we'll all get along there. You want?
Unentitled.
No,
The Bears, the Cubs, the Pope. That's awesome. Yeah, I already put it in here. Did he change his link?
I didn't see.
Yeah, I put it in a couple times. But
I just saw it come up on my phone.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Like not the link to his channel. Like he started a live and it said live in 30 minutes. So he opened one or whatever.
Okay. So
yeah, you talking about the Saturday Night Live skit where they're like the Bears?
Yeah, if anyone hasn't checked out his channel on Saturday night, it's awesome. It is so chill. It's a really good group of people. There's I've never seen arguing or anything, like any conflicts going on in there. It's just real chill. So I love going there every Saturday night. So he does a really good job covering other cases and everything. So please check him out. I put a link in the channel. And I'm going to now end the stream. So once again, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you,
Thank you, guys. Bye. Nice talking to you. Bye.
You think you got me figured out? Reading comments like they count. Drama feeds your empty soul. Truth ain't part of your life goals. All your screenshots and your claims. Playing victim in your games. Why you always showing up the top though? Get it out when people call you bluff. Till I draw me giving to your energy. But nobody's buying what you're selling me. Fake it till you don't. Fake it till you don't. Fake it till you don't. Can't keep up the fraud forever. Fake it till you don't. Force your receipts that don't add up. Manufactured drama cup, overflowing with your lies. Time to cut you down to size. All your stories